Seniors, Mr. Scott here. How are you doing? I'm in here on Sunday talking to you. You can thank me later for the fact that I'm not showing you my face. Got the crud over spring break. I got it on Tuesday. My wife got it Saturday, right after we got out of school. And I know a lot of you have already had it, so you know it takes a while to get over. Yesterday, we went and got our drugs, some steroid, and some kind of codeine cough syrup. So we're working on getting over it, but I'm anticipating being gone Monday, maybe Tuesday as well. I thought I would do this screencast. I'm going to do it in two different parts so that it doesn't take quite so long to upload to YouTube. So this is screencast part one for Monday, April 2nd. Just a thought or two about the week. You do not have school on Friday, April 6th this week. Teachers will be here putting grades in for the first quarter. I guess it's the third quarter of the year, but the first quarter of the second semester. So know that to the extent you have projects that haven't been turned in, your grade's going to reflect that starting on Friday. Otherwise, it should be a relatively normal week. Your schedule in econ will be something like this. I'm going to take you through a series of articles that are in the news, and there's going to be some follow-up for you to do on some of these articles. So you'll need to listen for what that follow-up is. When I'm finished with the screencast, you'll go grab a computer and start working on your follow-up. Also, I want you to have your stock picks done by the end of class on Tuesday. By stock picks, I mean the fictional $50,000 that we're working with in this unit. If some of you need help figuring out how to choose stocks, work together to figure out, because some of your colleagues are pretty sophisticated in some of this world. They've already started to dive into this a little bit. So feel free to work together in making your picks. Remember, the idea is you look at the price at which your stock is trading, either Monday or Tuesday. You reflect it on your sheet that you have already been given, and then we'll recheck prices periodically. And whoever makes the most money on a targeted day in June, I think I just kind of randomly picked June 1st at this point, will be the winner. I have this calendar up here in front of me just to kind of give you a sense of where we are. So here we are this week coming back, and here is the quarter end. So we essentially have these 4 days in the quarter. Okay, and then our next unit, I'm going to also probably hand out, especially if I'm not here Tuesday. It'll be called Tariffs, Global Trade, and Protectionism. And you'll see that unit is going to be more of a seminar series where we're going to turn our chairs around after doing some research, and students will lead the discussion of the selected topics. It'll make more sense to you, of course, once I hand it out. I also reserve the right to video record a given class's seminar so that I can show it to other classes, and you can compare how your class engages and discusses with how other classes engage and discuss. I think sometimes that can be powerfully insightful for you. Okay, let's talk about some articles then today. I wanted to show you this one about the Carolina Panthers. We had looked at this before. This is a National Football League team. Remember that this guy, the current owner, is a former NFL player, and there were a number of sexual harassment complaints made against him, and he decided that he would sell the team and bail out. And we had talked about the economics in the NFL, how so much revenue comes to these teams from television advertising, but certainly not all of it. It looks now, you see here, it looks now as though the Panthers are expected to sell for around $2.5 billion. $2.5 billion. The last record was when the Buffalo Bills were sold 4 years ago at 1.4. So you can see if it comes in where they're saying it's going to, it will shatter the old number. And the way this typically works is that when a team announces that it's putting itself up for sale, people then will submit bids. And there's a whole format by which you have to submit your bids. But then people will submit bids. And of course, one bidder doesn't get to see another bidder's bid. So you don't really know what people are paying. And that's why nobody can really say exactly what the number is going to be. Who can afford to do this kind of thing? Well, here you can see it says so far there's 6 bidders. 6, who are they? David Tepper, hedge fund management. I don't know David Tepper, and he's also minority owner of Pittsburgh Steelers. Michael Rubin, a sports merchandising company, Fanatics. I don't know him. Maybe some of you do. Ben Navarro, Sherman Financial Group, another investment firm. 3 offers were between 2 billion and 2.2, according to people with knowledge. Seeing that's what happens. There is no public information available, but people try to get, or leaks come out because human beings are human beings. So you can see there's very few people in the world who can actually afford to buy an NFL team. And a lot of times they'll put together groups of individuals who together pool their money. So there you go. We live in a culture that prizes NFL sports to the tune of literally billions of dollars. Okay, next I want to move to Spotify. Spotify, this is an article that I'm going to ask you to follow up on. So make sure you have your notebook out and you can take some notes and write down what I'm going to ask you to do. First of all, you'll have to find this article. So you're going to need the title. It's in the New York Times, March 31st, 2018. And yes, I'm enjoying a nice hot white chocolate mocha. Feels great on my throat. And I want you to go find the article and then read it and understand and explain what it is that Spotify is trying to do. In particular, I want you to explain how it's going public in a way that's different from the way that companies usually go public. That's what's happening here. Spotify is saying, instead of being a private company whose stock no one can buy, we're going to go public. But I want you to first of all figure out, what is Spotify doing in how it goes public that's different from the way other people go public. Then I want you to take a look at this chart. You see there's 3 different graphs on here, and it does a great job of explaining how $1 flows from Spotify to recording artists. I want you to understand these charts and the differences to a point where you can explain it to somebody that's about 12 years old, right? Which means you've got to have a detailed level of understanding about how this works. And notice the different approaches. Notice under this approach, artist gets 18 cents. Under this approach, artist gets 40 cents. And under this approach, artist gets 64 cents. What's the difference? What's the difference in these 3 approaches? What is the difference that results in an artist putting more money in his or her pocket? I want you to understand this. And I want you to understand generally, what is Spotify attempting to do that's so different from, say, Pandora? I think a lot of people know Pandora. Pandora was the first to this market. Spotify came a bit later. What are they trying to do that's different? So you got that? Find the article. Explain what it is about how Spotify is going public that's different from how most companies go public. Then understand these 3 graphs to a point where you could explain to someone that's about 12 years old. That was the age we always used as a trial lawyer. We used that, assume the average juror could have the reasoning capability of about a 12-year-old. And then just understand the history of Spotify generally. Okay, got that? All right. Then I wanted to talk about a couple of articles that were focused on artificial intelligence and this idea of the self-driving car. You might remember that there was an accident in Arizona last week with Uber, where the car failed to recognize the woman walking her bike across the street, killed her. And so Uber pulled all of its artificial intelligence testing. And you look at that and you say, oh my God, this is a real setback for artificial intelligence. But what I want you to understand is that companies are having different experiences with artificial intelligence. And it's because companies are at different places in their research and development and have taken different approaches that result in them being in different places. This article, for example, instead of explaining how people are running away from artificial intelligence because of the Uber experience in Arizona, is saying Waymo is going to order up to 20,000 vehicles from Jaguar Land Rover in the next 2 years for its self-consumer ride service. Now, a couple of things I want you to do with this article as well. You're going to need to follow up with this one as well, excuse me. So make note of the title, Self-Driving Car Industry's Biggest Turning Point Yet. This is March 30, 2018 in New York Times. First, I want you to explain the name Waymo, the company Waymo. Who's it affiliated with? Who's it owned by? Okay, Waymo, W-A-Y-M-O. And then I want you to explain, if you wanted to buy stock in Waymo, how would you do that? How would you look it up on the New York Stock Exchange or on the NASDAQ to figure out who you would actually buy stock in? Try to buy stock in Waymo and see what you find out, okay? And then third, read the article and figure out why. Why is Waymo ordering 20,000 vehicles at a time when Uber is finding that it needs to shut down some of its operation? What's the difference? What's going on? What's happening in the market? Why does one company have one experience with artificial intelligence and self-driving and another company completely different experience? Okay, you got that? Grab a computer and be looking. Lastly, this one, Tesla. And again, it kind of goes to the artificial intelligence. Look at the headline. Tesla looked like the future, and we've certainly read plenty of articles where that was suggested. Now some ask if it has one. Now, what? Serious? You could say, is this media just hyping to try and sell articles? And, to some extent, there's definitely that in media. But it's basically making the point that Tesla has yet to make a dollar. It's way behind in producing its Model 3, the new version. It's supposed to be affordable to the masses. And it's having problems with its own artificial intelligence. I want you to read this article and then go online and find out what happened with a Tesla artificial intelligence vehicle in just the last few days. And why did Tesla shares drop 8% and another 8% on Wednesday, resulting in their losing a quarter of their value in less than 3 weeks? Owie, owie, owie. Okay, there you go. There's round one. I'm going to do screencast 2 next. Take care. Bye-bye.